Now, all the other candidates have mentioned climate change briefly as an existential crisis or we're in survival mode, but it's usually tacked on. I even heard one of the candidates say, first we have to tackle corruption in Washington, then we can work on climate change. Why do you think the other candidates are prioritizing the climate crisis the way you are?
Why they are not, you mean?
Why are they are not?
It's a mystery because this is so obvious that we just do not have any more time. I think perhaps they have not had as much experience as I have had. I've been at this for 20 years. I wrote a book about it 11 years ago. I introduced the first meaningful climate change legislation in 2003 or 2004. I've been very active as a governor fighting these battles and making substantial progress. They have not had that experience. They just have, many of them check this box when they're running for president. And look, I think it's great if people will mention climate change, but you can't just mention it. We've got to make this a national priority, and I'll tell you why this is. This is a heavy lift. We are talking about the decarbonization of the U.S. economy in the next several decades. We can only do this through a national mission statement that will galvanize our energies, intellectual, financial, and otherwise, to make this the organizing principle of the United States government. And that only happens if the President of the United States says it's the #1 priority. I saw what happened when it was not the #1 priority in 2009, where essentially the priority was given to health care. I'm glad we did health care and Obamacare. I'm proud to have supported it. It's been very successful in my state. But it took up all the oxygen, and there wasn't enough left to do climate change legislation. We cannot allow that to happen again. And I'm the only candidate who has made it very clear that if I'm president, that is not going to happen again. So I understand the depth of what has to happen to actually make this thing succeed. Now, another reason I think people don't understand this is they listen to too many pollsters and pundits and political pros who whisper in their ear and say, oh, people just don't care enough about that. Well, you know what? They're wrong. They're just flat wrong. And the reason is public perception is changing so rapidly on this. When I wrote my book 11 years ago, when I first brought my friend Al Gore to Congress, I invited him to come and share some information. At that time, it was a chart. It was a graph. We could show people a graph showing parts per million, right? You get parts per million. And we said there's going to be problems when it gets up to 400 parts per million. But now they're seeing Paradise, California burn down. Now they're saying you can't send your kids out to play in the summer in Seattle, Washington. And every state has a version of this that they're going through. So now that people are experiencing it in their own lives, I believe they're ready to act. But they need a bugle call. They need somebody to call them to action. They need that spark of inspiration, like Gabby and Brad are putting right here in this state. You need leaders like this. So I think this is a moment that we're going to seize, and I'm happy about it. I want to thank you for your leadership.